Welcome to a review of Joyride, a collection of haibun by Jennifer Hambrick. I know Jennifer. I've met her at meetings and Zoom meetings, and I've always enjoyed the interaction with her. She clearly knows what she's talking about when it comes to haiku, and I've published some of her work. It's this collection, though, is a stunner. I really, really enjoyed it. And I enjoyed it for multiple reasons. First of all, whenever I read haibun, I always start with the poem. If the poem isn't there, it doesn't matter how beautiful the prose is. Because, well, haibun's all about the poem in the end, or the beginning. But her attack on the prose and the way she has bled a theme throughout this. Our life is all full of joyrides, and some of them intentional and some of them unintentional. We're getting to where we're going is always part of the problem, and it's always part of the fun. When I was a kid, Dad said on Saturday, "Jump in the car, we're going for a ride." Bang, we were down with that because we've been playing in the backyard all week. I was just a little kid. Get in the back of a 49 Chevy and go for a ride someplace to a park, or take a walk or a hike, or see a zoo, or go to Belle Isle, the park in outside of Detroit where I was born and raised. This book sort of brought me back to all of those different kinds of memories. And as an adult, it's the same way. When we can go someplace and we're headed somewhere, it's cool. But she's taken it to a whole new level. The other thing is, I'm going to read you some of these, but it doesn't do it justice to read them. You really have to see the construction to figure out how some of these work. And it's thematic. She's has an overriding theme of the joyride and the getting there, but inside there's a whole series of these. I would call them little novellas of haibun. I don't know if there's even a that's a category for other people, but she's done a marvelous job. So, and I was so enthralled with it. That I read it a couple of times just to see if I was putting some of myself into it somehow, in a way. Nope, I wasn't. And I think she's caught something. Her style is, she has none. She's taken a blank look at every single one of the haibun and created the framework for it around that story that she's trying to communicate. By the way, the haiku, I could read them. I could just read you the haiku. They'd pass muster. She knows what she's doing when it comes to the poems. I always knew that. But this one is thematic throughout. So whatever I'm telling you, you need to pick this book up and read it. And if you're a person who's a student of haibun and you'd like to see how it works and what kind of approaches you can take, she's tried just about everything in here. She has prose that has no punctuation except spacing between the words. That's it. She has others that look like a complete single sentence, and not short ones either, with no period. At first I thought, boy, she should have hired a proofreader. Then I realized what she was doing. and man, does it work. Let me read one to you. It's entitled Splat. The parking space is 5 minutes from the sand, and we lumber along with our tote bags stuffed with dime store beach towels and flimsy paperbacks, and we hit the sand, and a cool breeze blades through the sun-warmed air, and the wind picks up, and the ocean waves press into tall, pointy peaks as though jumping up and down to greet us, and my fiance undresses to his swim trunks, and I kick off my flip-flops and spread out my towel. Sunscreen on my shoulder, the first raindrop. Ain't that a killer? Splat. And the whole the prose here starts with a capital letter. You think, well, I'm about to read the first sentence. That's one sentence I read with no period, because sunscreen on my shoulder, the first raindrop. There's not a paragraph here, one sentence. It's just it's such an ingenious way to suck in the reader, and it's a pleasure to read it. And she's done, but she clearly can do a narrative style, and this one is really tremendous and very touching and very beautiful. This is one of my classics. I would point to anyone who's learning haibun and try this one on. Harmonica. The harmonica is a folk instrument, my father told me once when I was a girl, and you'll learn to play folk instruments just by playing them. My mother often chided him for singing off key in church and for whistling around the house in a raspy non-whistle, more like the wail of a cheap tea kettle than a trickle of music. But on the harmonica, my father found true pitches and picked out tunes from his childhood. Wildwood flower, may the circle be unbroken. His voice rang through the instrument. Autumn sunset, Dad's harmonica, quiet in the wooden box. Boy, did I love this. That's so touching. And it's so beautiful. We all have our strengths and our weaknesses. I'm personally an air guitar kind of guy. It's the only instrument I play. But this is such a perfect one. I'm a big fan of the blues. And what she's saying here, you learn to play folk instruments just by playing them. And that's it. It's never the same. Whether you're listening to Charlie Musselwhite or Muddy Waters, makes no difference. And her father clearly had found his instrument. And even though right now what's there of that moment with her father is his harmonica, quiet in the wooden box. Still, I think she's hearing his tunes. This is just very well done. I mean, this is the kind of haibun I wish I'd write. It's that good. And let me try one more on you. And I'm just giving you a sampling because it's some of the longer ones are great too, but I'm afraid that it may not hold up on a video. But this one, green. Out in the street, high school kids are dribbling basketballs 6 feet from each other. Their shouts and squeals muffled by cloth face masks. They're too young to know how death closes in around them. The sun angles into evening. A cardinal sings from a burning bush flush with life. Clouds pass by, leaving blue overhead. Cold spring, the birdhouse, empty. Green. Well, I'll tell you something. That is such a beautiful picture, right? Anyone who knows birds, cardinals are going to hang around all winter. They'll be around all seasons. They don't care. And they nest in the bushes. They don't need a birdhouse. The birds that use a birdhouse are generally those that show up in the spring. And it's been a cold spring. And I just think this is one written in the Queen's English, 2 short paragraphs. The other thing is that she has done throughout the book is use the title. I'm just going to read you some titles. Pandemic Power Walk. Ode to Saturn. I mean, I just fell in love with this book. I enjoyed it so much. And Jennifer has a unique style. And this is one of those books that if you're starting out in haibun and you're saying, I wonder what I can get away with, what can I try? What are the techniques that might be applied? I mean, she's got narrative in here between her characters, not her speaking, characters speaking. And it's like you're reading a script. And I'll tell you something, these are really wonderful, wonderful examples of haibun. And it is a joyride. It is fun to read this book and go where Jennifer goes. And she tells you all kinds of things and about all kinds of relationships, familial and community. And I have to be honest with you, I was just taken by it. So this is one that stays on my bookshelf. Can't recommend it enough. If you enjoy haibun, if you enjoy reading them, if you enjoy writing them, if you're thinking about writing them, get a copy. And it's published by Red Moon Press. So you can go to their Red Moon Press website and look up Joyride. You won't be disappointed. Take care.